Hello, hello, hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. We are super early on this.
On a Friday.
And do you know what else it is?
What? I know. I think just this morning did I realize what it is.
I actually just realized what it is, and then I got this uneasy feeling in my tummy.
It's okay. Do y'all know what it is?
It's Friday the 13th, y'all.
It is Friday the 13th. I like Friday the 13th, actually.
It's Friday. I feel like it's you know what one of my favorite words are?
What?
Auspicious.
Oh.
Auspicious day, Friday the 13th. I'm sure we should Google what it actually means. Do you know what it means? I bet you didn't. I bet you know.
Friday the 13th was a day that in one of the wars, there was like this message sent out to all of like the generals all around. And it was the day that they like turned on a group of people and like slaughtered them all. And it was a religious war. And I can't remember more details than that, but I know that it has something to, and it was forever then known as an unlucky day, Friday the 13th, because this was the day that this coup was executed against a group of people.
Right, yeah.
I think.
Well, there's
Am I right?
The fear of the 13th. Oh, it's interesting. Long considered a bad luck, Friday the 13th has inspired a late 19th century secret society, blah, blah, blah. Why is it unlucky? Biblical tradition, 13 guests attended the Last Supper held on Maunday, Thursday, including Jesus and his 12 apostles. The next day, of course, was Good Friday, the day of Jesus' crucifixion. Huh.
Hang on. There's another one.
There was another one. It was something about the Georgian.
Yes. Yes.
The Knights of Templar, Georgian.
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah, Western superstition is the 13th day of the month in the the Gregorian calendar falls on a Friday, which happens at least once every year, but can occur up to 3 times in the same year.
Yes, and there was something there where it was like that day that
they turned across the nation avoiding activities and undertaking on this day. It was something like that. Yeah, here.
There's something there, and I can't remember like the exact, but I remember reading it and being like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting.
Uh-huh.
Breaking mirrors. Yeah, there's like many different reasons. This one too, the Bible's telling of the Last Supper details how Jesus and his 12 apostles were sat down together, in total making 13.
There's
this was before his death on Friday, so I guess that's why the 13 is unlucky, the number 13th. Friday the 13th was mentioned in the English biography of blah, 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 Rossini. Okay, anyway, we could go down a rabbit hole.
But it's interesting. It's interesting because all of these superstitions have, like, there's a grounding point to them, right? And I find that interesting.
Yeah, totally. I know. It is really interesting, like, where everything comes from.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even language, and we are like language nerds, and we haven't actually gone down the language rabbit hole in a while.
No, we have not.
We go down the language rabbit hole quite a bit in terms of, like, what is this word? Where does it originate? Laura and I have like an ongoing battle between the way that she says words and the way that I say words. For example, you say route.
Route. Let's pick our route. Let's pick our route and go to the place.
I say root.
And I say a root belongs in a tree and does not belong in a map.
Route. There was another one too that we were. Oh, bagel. Say bagel.
Bagel.
Say milk.
Milk.
So, like, and I'm not right. She's not right. I'm not wrong. She's not wrong. Like, it's just how it's funny.
So fun.
So many things over the years.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say and she'll look at me and she'll be like, that's not how you say it. Or vice versa. So we definitely go down the language rabbit hole quite a bit. Welcome, Kylie, to 10K. Welcome.
Yay! Can't wait.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap up the last 2 weeks. We have been talking a lot about getting clients,
Yeah.
online and what goes into that. And quite honestly, we could speak about this for 3 years more.
Uh-huh.
We
And
could,
we will.
and we will,
And we will.
as we have been for the last 10 years, to be precise. To be precise. Fun fact, my first ever lead magnet was something like 5 steps to take to grow an online business. Like I've literally been saying, and it was the same thing. I'm just, I think, better at talking about it now, but I've literally been saying the same thing for 10 years.
Yep. 10, it's crazy.
10 years. So anywho, we just, do it better and have more experience.
I have to say something really quick before we get on, because do you know what's really freaking cool about that?
What?
That is the difference between somebody teaching or knowing a tactic and somebody teaching and knowing a strategy, because the strategy doesn't flip and change. It's been a decade of the same freaking strategy with the tools and the tactics that like come out year after year, being able to be incorporated into it because the strategy is there versus somebody who can talk about something for 6 months and then the tactic or the tool doesn't work anymore and they got nothing. And I think that is so important.
Yes, 100%. I'm trying to see, I think sometimes when I Google myself, I can see the actual image. I have it somewhere. I'll try and find it. It's pretty funny. Like when you have a body of work and you Google yourself, you forget some of the things that you've done, and then Google reminds you and you're like, wow, like that's funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny. I'm trying to see if I can find it, but it's not appearing. Because there's also someone, and it's really interesting, and I hope to one day meet her. There's another Lori Kennedy that is a minister of Alpha Omega Ministries. And when I Google my name, she's also, there's also another Lori Kennedy who does knitting.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I just Googled you and it comes up with Lori Kennedy, the quilting connoisseur under you. It's like you, and then 5th is like this quilting connoisseur.
Yes, which is really, really funny. But you guys should Google yourselves. It's really interesting. If you've never Googled yourself, you definitely should. It's really interesting what comes up. But I can't seem to find it. I will find it because it is interesting. And, I could take that content that I created back in 2012 and use it again today, and it would be fine. It wouldn't, nothing that I said there has changed, which I think proves Laura's point in the sense that, what you're looking to do and what you're looking to become known for is a methodology.
Yes.
Right? It's not tactical things. The tactical things are those are the magic pills, right?
Yeah.
Those are the magic pills that come in and out as trends. It's trendy to do whatever, and you can dress it up or dress it down, but at the end of the day, you will have staying power and you will be able to improve and you will be able to build on what you're doing because you have a core method by which you get results. And our core method by which we get results has never changed.
Yes.
It has literally never changed, which I think helps us to have confidence in what we're doing. Because I've been teaching about a signature program since 2011, and I've been using signature programs since 2008 in my nutrition practice.
Yep.
And, I don't know if we've said it here or whatever, but like at this point, the Wellness Business Hub is responsible for thousands of practitioners and coaches creating their own signature programs and using it with their clients and patients.
Yeah.
right? And not everybody has, you know, a 6-figure business. Not everybody wants that. And that's fine. Some people just want to work with 2 or 3 clients a month. Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
So totally fine.
You know, but it's just interesting. Like, you want staying power, stop worrying about the tactics and go deep. I was going to say deep and narrow, but every time I do it, I laugh. Go
It's Friday. Don't do
narrow,
it.
and become obsessed with your methodology. Become obsessed with perfecting the way that you work with your clients and patients.
Yes.
Right? And then you will be successful. Like, that's what we've done. Everything that I've created since 2007 has just been an iteration. Even like the 10K success system is an iteration of the program that came before it.
Yep.
And the program that came before that was a DFY. And I realized, like, oh, I actually need to teach the theory because nobody actually gets this concept. So
yes,
it's not helpful for me to sell them a DFY because they don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so we had to build out the methodology to help them execute. And so it's just interesting, I think, when you think about your own career and what you want for your own career, you know, you want to look back a decade later and say, like, you've built a body of work. Like,
yes,
you've built a body of work a decade later that, you know, isn't this and this and this and this. Like, think about that, right? Like, and that's actually a really good point. And I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but that's okay. We'll come back to it. Like, you know, really think about that. Like, I'm sitting here a decade later, looking back and being like, my body of work is consistent and I am an expert because it focused on one thing. Like, no one can come to me and say, you have no credibility to teach what you're teaching. Because all we have to do is be like, Google me, yo. Because you'll see that every piece of, I never went here and then went there. I never started to teach YouTube. I never started to teach social media. I never started to do this and that. And, you know, membership sites and affiliate models. Like, it has been so consistent over a decade that, like, I'm really proud of it. And B, you know, I think one of the things it's like, well, how do you overcome like trolls and people who like say dumb things on the internet? And I'm like, because I know what I've created in a decade. Like, you can come at me and say whatever you want. There's no validity to it whatsoever.
100%.
You know, and so I think it's like, if you think about it, and if you're really in this for the long term, it's like the body of work needs to stand on its own.
Yep.
And so how do you create that? You have a methodology that you improve over time and you iterate it and you build it out and you turn it into this thing that, you know, you never in your wildest dreams could have thought, you know, would have impacted tens of thousands of people over 10 years. But that's how it, but why not? Like, but why not? Right?
Deep thoughts on a Friday. I like this.
But why not? Right? And so I'm feeling all the feels as we sort of like enter the 10th year. Because I've been going back and like really looking at like, but it's true. It's like just straight and narrow, right? You might deviate a little here and there, but think about the kind of body of work, the kind of career, what you want to be known for. That's not silly.
No.
Business. You should think of things like that. Anywho, let's do a hard pivot.
Okay. Let's go.
We're going to wrap up what we talked about over the last 2 weeks, which really was sales. And then for the rest of November, we are going to dive right into creating signature programs.
Yes.
Because as having a signature program is your ticket to freedom. It really just is. Whether you end up running it with an affiliate model or a membership site or whatever, you still need the method. You still need the way in which you're going to deliver results. And so we're going to spend the last 2 weeks of November really, really going into detail about what signature programs are, who can create them, how to create them, all of that good stuff. So the 5 things, we're going to recap the 5 things. So the 5 things that we really spoke about over this past week that will help you, if you execute them, to get more clients.
Key point.
And emphasis on if and execute. That is the emphasis. If, execute. Don't be one of those people that just consumes all the content and then gets frazzled in your mind because you're not good enough and then you do nothing. Don't be one of those people. Don't be one of those.
Nope.
Be the person that's like, all right, I'm going into this knowing that it's going to suck.
Yes.
I'm going into this sweaty little vomit in my mouth, like that feeling like when you're going to throw up in your mouth, right? Yeah. I'm going into this knowing that people are going to look at me and judge me. I'm going into this knowing that this is the first of many and it can only get better from here because I'm beginning and I'm going to own it and it's going to suck and I'm going to own it and I'm going to stand in my power and do it anyway. Be that person.
Love it.
Be that person. So, first thing, prime social media. That's what we told you to do. We told you to prime social media. Why is that important, Laura?
It's important because you need to position yourself as the expert from the moment that people Google you, and people are going to Google you. And when they Google you, right now, your body of work is likely not enormous. And the first thing that's going to show up, even if it is enormous, the first thing that's going to show up is your Facebook social media profile, your Facebook personal profile. And so, number one, if they click on it and see a bunch of cats frolicking and you don't actually help cats in some way, shape, or form, that's not going to feel cohesive. And they're going to be like, oh, I thought this person was an expert in balancing women's hormones, but clearly they just hang out with cats all day. So that's not who I want to work with because they don't, I don't think, do this full time, right? Number one. And number two, your first clients are likely all going to come from some sort of a network that you already have. And if they don't know that you do what you do and you solve the problem that you solve, you can't help them. And they'll know that if your social media is primed with you as an expert.
Yes. So go back to the beginning of November if you're watching this in real time or on the replay, and start watching this from the beginning of November.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks of November 2020, we walked through all of this. So number one, please go and do an audit on your social media. Every platform that you have, I don't care if you're using it or you're not using it. When somebody Googles your name, the first thing that they're going to see, if you have a LinkedIn profile, it's going to be your Facebook personal page and it's going to be your LinkedIn.
Yep.
And Twitter, whatever you have, actually. Yes. It's going to come to the first page of the Google.
Yes.
More than your website's not going to. Your website won't.
Nope, not for a while.
Not for a while. So just make sure that your social media clearly indicates who you are, who you help, and how to get in touch with you.
Yes.
The next thing that we talked about over this past week, which is critically important because you don't want to be put into the friend zone, is make sure that on all of your platforms, specifically your Facebook group, if you have one, that you are positioning yourself as the expert from the start.
Yes. So important.
Yeah.
If you are in the friend zone, you will get constant private messages and emails, and I had this for breakfast, and what would you suggest I have instead? And can you give me 14 recipes for snacks? And oh my goodness, I'm so tired and I couldn't sleep last night again. How do you sleep? What's your exact meditation? Blah, 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 blah. You're in the friend zone.
Yeah. Which is, those are okay because it's an opening to a conversation. But if you haven't positioned yourself as the expert from the start, they don't know that you are the expert and that you are running a business and that you have something to offer. And so they feel there's no boundary there.
No, they're just going to keep going.
And
hey, you're going to try to get them on a call and they're going to be like, oh, no, that's okay. Can you just let me know what I should eat for breakfast?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's all I need.
And you don't want that. Can we just take a pause for a minute and congratulate Violetta, who posted her first marketing type post on her personal page? And one person asked, how do we sign up for the program? Well done.
That's amazing. That's
well
amazing.
Done. See? And you live
Action.
about it, so it's okay.
Action.
Good job. Good job. All right. Third, marketing.
Whew.
You need to do it.
Uh-huh.
And it's not the same thing as self-promotion. So yesterday I was teaching a masterclass, and this was something that we actually I stopped and was like, let's talk about this for a second. Self-promotion is, hi, I'm Lori. Do you want to buy something from me? I am blah, 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 blah. I have a 60-minute consultation, right? What self-promotion does not do, which is why it's not effective in the online space, is it does not take the prospect on a journey to bring them to a better level of awareness and readiness.
Yep.
So we talked about readiness, we talked about awareness, and self-promotion feels yucky and salesy and like you have to convince and all of that stuff, which nobody likes to do. And so because you are a leader in transformation, your job is to create, literally your job is to create content that takes them, that helps them to understand where they're at and brings them to a higher or a better level of awareness and readiness. Yeah. That is actually your job. Your job isn't to self-promote. That's not helpful.
Yes. And I just thought of the best example of like a completely different industry that I think will be helpful if you've never done this. So picture, you need an outfit to go out to a dinner and you have nothing to wear and it's stressful and you're like, crap, I got to go to the mall and I got to buy an outfit. But you don't really know what you want. But the problem is you need an outfit. And you walk into store A and there's somebody at the entrance and they're like, hey, jeans are 50% off today. And you're like, okay, thanks, I'm good. And then you keep walking. She's like, hey, jeans are 50% off. Would you like to look at the jeans over here, the jeans over here? You're like, no, I'm good. I just need to look. I don't really know what I want. Okay, cool. And then the next person comes up and they're like, hey, did you know jeans are 50% off today? And so on and so forth, right? That's the equivalent of self-promotion, where it's like, hey, buy my thing, hey, buy my thing, hey, buy my thing. It's not helpful. You walk into store B and there's really cool music playing and everybody's wearing like really cool outfits and you're like, oh, this is what I want. I'm aspiring to this. And then somebody comes up and they're like, hey, what brings you in? And you're like, oh, I need an outfit. And they're like, oh, okay. Tell me a little bit, right? Yeah. Tell me a little bit about how you want to feel and what vibe you want to give off. And now all of a sudden you're like talking about what you need and what you want. And then this person presents this beautiful, perfect outfit and you try it on and you're like, oh dear Lord, this is exactly how I wanted to feel. That's what your marketing has to do. Not buy the jeans. Not jeans are 50% off today.
Buy the jeans. Buy the jeans.
50% off.
Yeah, no. That's not, and don't do that. Yeah. So with that being said, it would be helpful for you to think about that exact scenario. Where is your person right now? What is it they want? How do they want to feel? How do they not want to feel? Yeah. And then go create content that speaks to that. Yeah. Right? Educate them on what style of jeans would work best for their body shape. Uh-huh. Right? Uh-huh. So that needs to happen. Marketing, marketing, marketing. It's not something like, I know that a lot of coaches and practitioners are like, oh, I don't want to market. You don't want to self-promote. There's a difference.
That's the difference.
Let's be clear here. You don't want to self-promote. You should become obsessed with marketing. Yes. Because when you learn how to market effectively, you are educating, you are building trust, you are building rapport, you are helping the person to become aware of what's really going on for them, which is highly valuable. You are helping the person to make an educated decision about their own care and well-being, which is everything, right? When marketing is done well, you are helping them to overcome their limiting beliefs, their self-sabotage, their fears. None of those things that I just described have anything to do with self-promotion.
So true.
So let's reframe what we're actually talking about when we say, I don't want to market. You don't want to self-promote. You want to market. You absolutely want to market. So that was number 3. Number 4.
Have
B plus C equals C. Fill in the variables. C plus C equals C. Conversations plus conversions equals cash or clients.
Yes. And I was going to say confidence also.
All the C's.
All the C's.
C's, like, actually, that's really interesting that it's like all the C words.
It is all the C words. Like
Yeah.
Conversations. And get the very first thing that was in that chain of C's. Nothing can happen until the first C happens.
Yep.
Conversations. You have to have them.
You have to have them, and you have to reach out to people. That's your job. It's also in your job description. Right? And let's not get it twisted. You can be an introvert and still do this.
Yes.
Let's not get it twisted, right? Yes. You can be an introvert and still do this. What feels draining is your emotional attachment to it.
Yes. Oh my God.
That is what feels draining to you. It's not the act of doing it, because the act of doing it is nothing more than you being of service. It's your mindset around it that causes this particular thing to be draining to you. To feel draining to you. Because if you took away any emotional attachment that you have of being successful or a failure, when you do or you do not get a response, that is what is draining.
It's because you've literally tied your self-worth into somebody else saying yes to you.
Yeah, or no.
Which is so dangerous.
Yeah. It's just, all right, I'm just going to show up and be of service. You want it? Cool. No? All right, on to the next. Cool.
Yep. Yeah.
You know? And I will say this, does it get frustrating when you get no's? 100% it does. So then you have a choice. You can go and invest in skills that are going to help you to become better at it so that you get less no's and more yeses.
That's a good one.
Or you can continue doing what you're doing and feel frustrated. Either way, it's a choice. So just know that you are making that choice. And if you decide to not invest in the skill set of sales, of learning sales, then why are you frustrated?
Yeah. I love that.
Not to.
Personal responsibility.
There should be no frustration. You're choosing to not advance your skill set. Therefore, this is the result you're going to get.
Yes.
You should just accept that. That's personal responsibility. So, conversations, you need to have them to the tune of 10 a day. To the tune of 10 a day. All right. Last one.
Hit it. Hit it.
You need to ask for the sale.
Hit it.
You need to have an enrollment conversation. It's not going to just magically appear in your bank account.
There is nothing worse than those conversations where it's like ending, but you won't end it. So it's like, okay, cool. You need help. I do need help. Okay, cool. Do you think working on your nutrition would be helpful? Yes, I do. Okay. So
you know what we need to do? We need to find the skit.
Oh my gosh,
of you and Jessie.
Yes.
Laura and Jessie did a skit. And if you ever had an enrollment conversation before that went badly, you will pee your pants. We'll find it, and we'll find it because it is comical.
But comical because it's true, because it's real life.
Because you I've been there. We've all been there. Anybody who's had an enrollment conversation has had something like this happen to them, and it is comical.
Yes.
So prime your social, position from the start, market, don't self-promote, have many conversations, and have enrollment conversations that are in the best interest of the prospect, not your best interest, right? And do that every day. If you
over and over,
like every day,
every day.
you did that every day, then like you would be fine.
Yeah.
You would be fine.
Yes. Yep.
But most people don't, because this is the scary work versus the safe work that we were talking about. It's the sweaty work versus the safe work.
Yeah, man.
It's safer to fix up your website. It's safer to write your work with me page. It's safer to put out recipes and newsletters that are like fluffy, educational, no marketing content.
Yep.
It's safer to research. It's safer to go and do more certifications. It's safer to do all of these things when all you have to do is be like Violetta and put a marketing type post on your personal page, and somebody's like, how can I work with you? Just be like her.
Yeah, man.
That's all you need to do. It's really not hard.
It's hard. It's really not complicated. It's still hard. And I think that's
okay, fair. Yep.
That's it's hard. It's hard. This stuff is hard, which is why
I wouldn't even say it's hard. Nope. I'm going to challenge you on that.
I think it's hard.
It's uncomfortable.
Okay.
Not hard. It's actually not
hard. It's hard to do this yourself with no accountability and nobody telling you to do it. It's hard because you want to. That's hard. That's the hard part.
Yes. But actually like sitting down and being like, what do I want to share today? And putting it up, that's not hard.
No, it's not.
It's uncomfortable, but it's not hard.
Yes.
It's not hard. What's hard is saying, I don't know what I'm doing and I would like to learn.
Yeah.
Right? Acknowledging that you actually don't know what you're doing and having that be okay. Right? I mean, think about it. If you tried to like learn Japanese, you don't know what you're doing. You would need to invest in a teacher.
Yeah.
Right? If you wanted to learn to knit, can you teach yourself? Yes.
Yeah.
How? You'd have to like buy a book and like read and learn the skills.
And then practice and like
you have to practice over and over
all the time.
First scarf you ever make
would be hideous.
Would be a disaster.
It'll be awful.
And you will laugh, but you will also be so proud of yourself that you did it.
Yep.
And then 2 years later, you're selling your wares on Etsy. And like, that's how it goes. So you want the outcomes, you got to put in the work. Period.
Boom.
All right. Happy Friday the 13th, everyone. Hope it's a good
one.
Talk
to you later.
We will be back next week, 9 a.m. Eastern, regular time.
Yep.
Have a good weekend.